why I think Barkley should go for the record against the Giants and break Eric Dickerson's record. First of all, very hard to get 2,000 yards. People are acting like it's easy to get 2,000 yards. Only 9 people have gotten 2,000 yards. So you're watching a legend. This dude is on Mount Rushmore, and everybody does not see that. Now people are going to say, records don't mean nothing to me. Then why does everybody say, who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT at quarterback? Who's the GOAT at wide receiver? Who's the GOAT at running back? He would be the GOAT of all time. Better than Barry Sanders. Better than Bo Jackson. Better than the great of greats. He is it. And it's happening in front of your eyes. But everybody's like, oh, I want a Super Bowl. Everybody wants a Super Bowl. You can have both. You can. It happens. But you're watching something iconic. You really are watching a legend in the making. I can go back to Bo Jackson taking out Beasley from Seattle. Beasley was supposed to be the greatest defensive player, run stopper. He destroys everybody. Bo Jackson on the goal line blew him up, ruined his career. He was done after that. He was down. And everybody wanted to say he was the greatest defensive run stopper. He got blew up by Bo Jackson, destroyed his career. That's what legends are made out of. This is what happens, why Saquon Barkley should be getting this record. This is how I go and how I look at things. People look at stats, and I say stats don't tell the whole story. If you just look at the stats, stats don't tell you what's happening during the game. That's why your eyes tell you what's happening in the game. That's why you're seeing greatness. You look at a stat, it doesn't tell you greatness, who the GOAT is. You're watching the GOAT. You're watching friggin' the greatest of the great. Nobody wants to see that. How? Why? It boggles my mind. Watching Emmitt Smith play with a dislocated shoulder, taped it up, wrapped it up. Give me the ball. With a dislocated shoulder. You don't see that no more. People are like, oh, he might get hurt. Let's put bubble wrap on him. No. Watch the greatest of the greats, ladies and gentlemen. You have to watch the greatest of the greats. People are going, well, he breaks Eric Dickerson's record. He did it in more years.
Stop.
Yo, you come from.
I told you to do the introduction so I could ask you questions, and you just went on a rant.
That's what I do.
But since you're on this topic, I had to put myself in here. What were you just talking about? About him doing it in less games, Eric Dickerson?
So he did it in less games.
Okay.
All right?
Can I point something out to you?
Yes.
By everybody's logic, they're saying he won't get the record if he plays Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't do it in 16 games?
Yes.
Okay. Well, according to everybody's logic, Eric Dickerson, therefore, does not hold the record.
Yes. It would be O.J. Simpson.
Because he won it in 14 games.
Yes, because he did it in 14 games.
So
it's like Tom Brady don't get the record because of certain things he did wrong. Like cheating. But he done it in more games than Joe Montana. And yada, yada, yada. Yes. This is the story of all stories of what happens in the NFL. This is everybody's go-to thing.
So according to everybody's logic,
he gets thrown out the window.
Eric Dickerson doesn't even hold the record.
Yeah, he don't own the record, but he does own the record.
No, he don't.
He does. He's a Hall of Famer.
Nope, he don't own the record. He didn't do it in 14 games.
Then you're going to tell me nobody's going to be able to watch break records? That ain't how it works. So anyway, it don't how it works because this is how you have to look at it. Barkley's going to do it in less carries.
And what do you mean by that?
Every time he touches the ball, that's a carry. Every time he grabs it and goes down the yards, if, say, like Eric Dickerson did it in 370-something carries, if Saquon Barkley does it in 350, he did it in like 20 less carries.
Okay.
So it's the carry part.
Yeah, it don't matter though.
It does matter.
No, O.J. Simpson holds the record from 1973. Just saying. 14 games.
Yes, 14 games and less carries.
Yeah.
So the record will never be broken.
Nope.
So it's O.J. Simpson.
Yep.
Okay. Hey.
According to everybody's logic.
Well, their logic is wrong.
I'm just saying.
There's more games. You can't sit there and say, hey, there's not more games.
I understand that.
But
apparently nobody else does, is all I'm saying.
Because they don't want the argument. They don't know how to argue it. So they say, hey, well, it doesn't work because he did it in more games. They don't know how to argue this. This is the argument of all arguments. Everybody does it. They'll go, oh, well, they did it in more games. It's just an argument. It's just where they try to stop the argument.
They can't play that as their argument because, according to their argument, Saquon Barkley can't get the record because he's doing it in more games. So if you go by that logic, therefore, Eric Dickerson does not hold the record.
But he's in the record book.
I'm just saying. There's a lot of people in that record book.
Yes, there is.
When there were still less games than even 14 games. It was 12 games.
Yes.
So, I mean, O.J. Simpson still holds the record, but still.
Yeah, and if you want to make a complaint that O.J. did it in less carries, then it's always going to be O.J. Simpson. Even if Barkley breaks the record in less carries, it's always going to be O.J. Simpson because he did it in less games and less carries.
Yes.
Yeah. That's people's argument.
Different question. Okay. So if Saquon Barkley does not play on Sunday,
right?
Okay, then that means will not hold the record at all.
No.
Because after Sunday's game, you go into playoffs, correct?
Yes.
And anything that happens during playoffs don't count.
Yes. Season ends Sunday. Yes. There are no more stats. Doesn't matter if you had Jerry Rice's record was going to beat Jerry Rice's record, or if you was going to beat anybody's record.
So if he doesn't play on Sunday, which they're saying he's not, right? Then that the record.
The record
still stays to O.J. Simpson.
No, it still goes to Eric Dickerson. It's going to be 40 years. In the last 60 years, there's only been 3 changes of a rushing record. And a lot of people don't understand this. It's been Jim Brown. Thank you. Because I'm about to say Jerome, because I was thinking about Jerome Brown for a minute, because I was on Twitter.
He holds the record a couple times for the years.
Yes.
And he only played 12 games?
12 games.
Yeah.
So it would be Jim Brown. Then it went to O.J. Simpson. And then it went to Eric Dickerson. It's only been 3 times since the 60s. 60s! This is why I said this is bigger than big. It's only been 3 times. If he breaks the record and actually played, it'd have been 4 times. It never is going to be done. Now, people are like, oh, he can do it next year. Do you know how hard it is to get 2,000 yards? It's very hard for a running back, especially this day and age. Why? Because it's a pass-run league anymore. Back in the day, it was a run-pass team where they ran the ball more.
No, I'm going to stop you right there. You're saying back in the day, whatnot. Are you talking about whole NFL in general, or are you just talking Eagles?
Talking a whole NFL general.
Okay.
It's more throwing the ball, passing yards, and quarterbacks throwing the ball more than they did back in when O.J. Simpson, Barry Sanders, and all were more running the ball.
Okay.
So now it's more about passing. So you'll see quarterbacks get 5,000 yards, and you'll see quarterbacks getting 4,000 yards. Back in the day, they didn't have that. Why? Because they were run first. Then it's run and then pass. Now this is just gunslinger. Want to throw the ball around. You will never see it again. It'll go for another 60 years, maybe 70 years. You're never going to see it again. This record needs to be broken because of you're looking out Mount Rushmore. I don't even think Saquon Barkley realizes how big this is. It's a legacy for his name. When you're a kid, even me, even when I was a kid, you always thought you were like Joe Montana, Reggie White, or they could be Clyde Simmons, or they could be Michael Irvin, or they could be friggin' Michael Strahan, the greatest of the greats. Saquon Barkley over here is who did he think he was when he was a kid? What iconic guy he looked up to? He passed him. He's passing everybody he looked up to as a kid watching the game. And it's bigger than big, and people don't realize that. People are going to go, I want a Super Bowl. Does not guarantee you a Super Bowl that you sit something. But you know what it is? It is something to watch a legend in the making. And this is bigger than big. This is what sports is about. Watch the legends become legends. I've seen them. I watched them, and it's awesome. I can go back to Bo Jackson when he did the 40-yard dash. He said, open up the damn back doors because I'm running through. Get my bags. I'm breaking the 40-yard dash record. I'm breaking it and running right out the building. He ran out the building.
Question.
Yes. Talk about my rants.
So you've been watching football for 40 plus years?
40 plus years.
Okay. You would say seen a lot of good football players.
Yes.
A lot of different games.
Yeah.
In your opinion, Saquon Barkley should not.
Yes. Because I'm watching a Barry Sanders.
You're watching
I'm watching a Hall of Famer in the making. I'm watching a guy that's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And by first ballot Hall of Famer, can you explain that to me as somebody who pays no attention?
So this is what happens with a Hall of Fame. He has to retire. So when he retires...
But hold on. When I say explain to me, like, I don't understand, I mean, like, what's the difference between somebody getting nominated into the Hall of Fame and what you're saying for first ballot Hall of Fame? What you're saying, there's like 7 or 9 or however many you said that are ahead of him.
Right. They're not in the Hall of Fame yet, and they've been there. They've been out of the league for like 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years.
Okay, so what would make him, if he broke the record, what would make this any different?
Because he's on Mount Rushmore. He is Mount Rushmore. It's his face first.
Because he hit the number 1 spot, even though...
Yes, because he hit the number 1 spot. He broke a 40-year-old record that hasn't been done. Only 3 people have done it. This is what happened. It's iconic. He's a legend in the making.
So, in your opinion, you think Nick Sirianni has thrown him over?
Oh. No, I think Saquon Barkley is such of a team player that he's like, whatever you guys want to do, I'm game. But I think he don't even know how iconic and legendary this is. Because I've been watching it before he was even born. And a lot of people that watch football now don't know what they're watching. So when you see something this iconic going up, you have to watch it and embrace it. Me personally, I don't care who he played for. It does not have to be with the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a legend. You'll never see it again. People have to understand it's goosebumps. And for a real football fan, not just saying I want a Super Bowl, to watch history in the making.
So you wouldn't care if he played for the crappiest team?
I wouldn't care if he played for the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Browns had nothing to play for. But They got a losing record. They could have friggin' 3 wins, and he has the biggest rushing record. I would want to see him at the last game play because it's the greatest of the greats.
But even like we said earlier, the record, whatever the record is on Sunday, at the end of the day,
It's there.
Simpson.
Or OJ Simpson. How you want to? If you look at the people that are saying, "Hey, well, he did it in this many games," it's always going to be OJ Simpson. So, yeah.
So yeah, if you don't play, then
If he don't play, listen.
Because I don't know if people understand that if it don't happen on Sunday, the next game is a playoff game. Do they think that the stats carry to the playoff game?
There's some people think the stats still carry, but they don't. That's where they're wrong.
I've been listening to you for friggin' days about this topic.
Yes.
Okay? And I've been listening to what you're listening to because you can't turn your phone down.
Yes.
And so I hear the people saying, well, he didn't do it in 16 games. He didn't do it in 16 games. And again, going back in history with the whole 14 games,
Yeah.
I had to voice my thoughts and tell you
that is OJ Simpson.
That according to their logic, if they want to go with that, OJ Simpson holds the record and Dickerson doesn't.
Yeah, I don't need Google to tell me that, but there's people out there that just got to Google everything. Like you, there's people they just want to Google stats instead of watching a legend in the making. Stop Googling stuff and let's watch the legend in the making.